right, so Chad and I are joined by a man who's going to talk important issues, but first, we have to talk about the jambalaya. U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy joining us on the line. Sir, good morning.
Good morning, but Bernie, what could be more important than a roux? I mean, think about it. Don't minimize the importance of a good roux.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We should weigh them equally, right?
Totally. I mean, let's face it.
Okay, so tell me about the jambalaya, then tell me about the state dinner itself. Your thoughts, sir.
Well, I knew there was a jambalaya, although it was Carolina rice. I'll cut them slack. And so I'm eating the meal, and it's a fabulous meal. It's lamb. It's a wonderful rice dish, and then I'm like all the way through, and I think to myself, wait, where was the jambalaya? I was going to take a picture of the jambalaya. And I realized that the crumbs of rice left was the jambalaya, and I thought, that wasn't a jambalaya.
So it started, somebody wrote a story, then it just started, boy, did people really come up to you? Did they compliment the dish or try to, or were they like, oh, this is the strangest thing ever?
Well, no, the evening was gorgeous. I cannot say enough and Melania planned it. It was not only perfect, but it set a standard. So just hats off to the president and the first lady. And the meal was great. You're feeding 150 people, and it actually tastes like you're cooking it for one person at a time. But it wasn't jambalaya.
It wasn't jambalaya.
We're going to have to ship them a little bit.
Yeah, we have this place called the Jambalaya Shop. Now, it's not unique to us. There are several across South Louisiana, but A, we love the owners because they're super friendly and super nice, and B, the jambalaya is so good, Senator, like they actually sell it by the bucket.
Oh, gosh.
It's just awesome. All right, now look, we do have to move into some serious territory. I want to talk money a little bit in 1 second, but I do have to ask you, this morning was a historic morning for South Korea and North Korea. Are you excited and cautiously optimistic? What do you think?
Both. First, I will have my differences with the president in terms of his style. I wouldn't have run a campaign like he ran it, and he won the presidency. And I wouldn't have been flaming Kim Jong-un, but he did it, and it appears that Kim Jong-un responded, and now he's moved to literally open up borders and doors with South Korea. So the president's got a certain style that is remarkably effective. By the way, that's why I cut him slack on the roux. But that said, if this turns out, and we have to be cautious because in the past, North Korea suggested they want to help, and they pulled back. But this is as far as they've gone. If this works out, obviously it's tremendous for South Korea, tremendous for Japan, tremendous for the United States.
I must ask you, too, Phase 2 of the Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act. We're getting, about 80 million, somewhere in that ballpark? Tell me more.
Between states and parishes, we're getting more than that. But that is the second phase of revenue sharing between the federal government and the states along the Gulf Coast, all except Florida. And in our state, by our state's constitution, we have to use that for coastal restoration. And that is a good thing. And so our concern regarding our vanishing coastline, this is the money to begin implementing our plans to restore that coastline.
It seems like an all-or-nothing proposition in the sense that there's a book that is being shared around our building for some time, about a year or so now, called There Ain't No More. And it documents the destruction, but, it also mentions some of the things that are being done. An effort is being made to do what we can.
Totally. And it's on all fronts. We're trying to get the Corps of Engineers to be faster because you can go down and look like at the Davis Diversion and you can see something which wasn't intended to build coastline back is building marshland back because there's so much sediment in the Mississippi River. So if we can expedite the permitting, which the Trump administration is committed to doing, we can get the resources down there to pay for the projects once permitting is done, we can actually rebuild our coastline. We don't have to be, oh my gosh, we're just going to sink into the ocean. We can build it back. There's a will, there's a way, there's the money, and this is our goal, and it's what we must do.
Senator, as we're wrapping up here this morning, I'm kind of curious. This is a huge weekend for our state to really show who and what we're all about. We have, of course, Jazz Fest down in New Orleans tomorrow and Sunday, and we have Festival International that continues today, tomorrow, and Sunday. How are you feeling about, it seems that we're moving even more into developing this cultural economy and making it work, but I don't want us to forget about the oil and gas industry. Any good news for us that you might have heard of maybe coming up on the horizon?
The best news is that when I went to Israel to look at security situations and went over to Jordan. And when I go to Jordan, there's a Popeyes, and on there is something that says Louisiana cooking. There's another guy that has crispy, crunchy chicken that came out of Lafayette with this incredible recipe. A good friend of mine, Dan Shapiro, on the North Shore. They are now worldwide. You go into Manhattan and you're going to see crispy, crunchy chicken. And
I know, it's so good.
It's so good. This is all Louisiana-based food. So we do have a culture that we are exporting, including getting national attention as to whether or not this is really jambalaya. So I think we can build upon that to make our state an attractive place for folks to locate their businesses, to diversify our economy. Yes, we need oil and gas jobs. We also need diversification to keep our young people here. And the cultural economy part of that is foundational to doing so.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Well, sir, I want to thank you so much for your time this morning. Thanks for joining us for a few minutes. I know you've only got a few left for another station, so have a great weekend, sir.
Thank you, Bernie. Thank you, Chad.